And welcome everybody to another edition of the Brody File. I'm just laughing. It's over. I mean, it is over. Donald Trump is going to be the Republican nominee. Hold on. I'm going to do the show like this. Here's why I'm doing the show like this, because it's been very tense. I've been very tense. I've been a little bit ornery around the office, but now I can relax, not because Donald Trump's the nominee, just because this whole process is over. So I'm going to do the show like this. I might even do it with I'm going to do the whole show like this. Anyhow, Donald Trump, Indiana, culturally conservative Indiana, the heartland of the country, and Donald Trump crushes Ted Cruz, and Ted Cruz looks at his campaign staff and says, boys, it's time to pack it up. We're out. Here's Cruz.
We gave it everything we've got, but the voters chose another path. And so, with a heavy heart, but with boundless optimism for the long-term future of our nation, we are suspending our campaign. But hear me now, I am not suspending our fight for liberty.
As for the Donald, he was in a subdued moment actually after Indiana. Donald Trump was a bit humble. Wait, confirming I just said humble and Donald Trump in the same sentence. That is a first. Here's Trump thanking the evangelicals big league.
Tonight I see that I won with the evangelicals. The evangelical vote was for Trump. And there's no greater honor, just no greater honor. We're going to work together for many, many years. We're going to make it so good. We're going to be saying Merry Christmas again. We're going to be saying, remember what we're going to be saying.
Donald Trump, believe me, he owes evangelicals big league. And why? Well, a little Brody File commentary. Well, look, I'd love to do the commentary right here, sitting here with my tie undone, a bit disheveled. But you know what? Forget all that. Instead, let me take you to the 700 Club, where I had a chance to talk to Pat Robertson about the big victory for Donald Trump as he moves forward as the Republican nominee, or at least the presumptive Republican nominee.
Our CBN News political correspondent, David Brody, is with us. And David, you were with the Trumps. You've been on the campaign trail. Now he's turning his fire on Hillary. Tell me what it's going to be like.
It's going to be pretty intense, Pat. Boy, where do I even begin with Donald Trump? He has done the unthinkable. Literally, the GOP establishment needs smelling salts this morning to get themselves off the floor because we're in for a wild ride. Look, everybody thinks that Donald Trump will fight nasty with Hillary Clinton in a general election. And guess what, Pat? That's exactly right. I'm waiting for the news conference, and it's coming, Pat, where Paula Jones and Juanita Broderick and all of the women from Bill Clinton's past are standing around Donald Trump when Hillary Clinton tries to play the war on women card against Trump. Trump's going to say, Hillary, I've got a few folks I'd like you to meet. And I think that's what we're in for, Pat, coming this fall.
Look, you were out talking to voters. I do hope that you were talking to voters. What did they say? These Trump voters are so passionate for their candidate.
They're passionate because he breaks through that political correctness that's out there. They can't stand it. And oh, by the way, newsflash to America, evangelicals are part of that frustrated class of voter out there. I call them the sick and tired evangelical voters, Pat, who have, let's be honest here for a moment, propelled Donald Trump to victory. I know it's the secret, or the dirty little secret no one wants to talk about, but these are not just the nominal Christians, the culturally conservative Christians, in quotes, that Donald Trump is attracting. He is attracting, look at Indiana on Tuesday night. He attracted 35% of the weekly church-going crowd. So these are not just folks that are showing up for Easter and Christmas in church. These are actually weekly evangelicals who are sick and tired of politics as usual. And quite frankly, Pat, this is an indictment of the Republican Party. The fact that Donald Trump could be the nominee of the Republican Party really says a lot about the Republican Party Party, how they have decided for years and years, decades, if you will, to say, forget about it. We're not really going to listen to the voters. We're going to do our thing and basically drink the Potomac water. And indeed, evangelicals and others have said, you know what, we'll even go with Trump after all of this. Little Brody File commentary via videotape here on the Brody File. All right, when we come back, glitz, glamour, politics, scandal. I don't know, it's everywhere. White House correspondent Jenny in the B block was there. She had a front row seat. Back in a moment. And welcome back, everybody, to the Brody File. Glad you're with us. All right, time now for a little Hollywood, a little DC, a little politics, a little glitz, glamour. The White House Correspondents' Dinner. It's an annual affair where the stars are hobnobbing with the political nerds, and it's just a whole big excitement. Whatever, been there, done that, kind of can't stand it. No, that's not true. I like it. But Jenny was there, Jenny in the B block with the lowdown.
Hollywood took Washington by storm to attend the last White House Correspondents' Dinner of President Obama's term. Actress Candace Cameron Bure was the special celebrity guest of CBN News.
It's two worlds colliding, entertainment and politics, which is really fun. And politics is a new thing for me.
You know, this event is called Nerd Prom. Do you think that's fitting?
I think that's a fun name, but I think being a nerd is cool, so I'll take it.
She'll also take the success she's enjoying. Bure was recently nominated for an Emmy for her work as a co-host on The View, and this week she starts filming season 2 of Fuller House, the show starring Bure as DJ Tanner, all grown up from the original sitcom Full House.
We love each other so much. We have so much fun, and we're all so grateful to be there.
You've pushed back against some of your critics who watch the show and say, kissing scenes, some of the wardrobe, some of the language isn't appropriate for a Christian actress or a Christian audience.
I've been an actress for 35 years, and it's a part of my business. It's not that I don't think about every decision that I make and every script and every part that I play. And my husband and I have come to what the boundaries are for us so that I can do the job and exercise the talent that God has given me, but do it within the boundaries that make the two of us comfortable. And one of those boundaries we draw the line at is kissing, that it's nothing more than that. And that's something that I've been doing since I was 13 years old. I had my very first kiss on Full House. I think sometimes it's funny, though, that people love my movies on Hallmark, which I love making, and my mystery series, and there's always a kiss at the end of those movies, and people love them.
Scroll through her social media post and you'll see Bure advertises her Christian faith.
I love Jesus. Like, my faith is my whole life. And I love the relationship that I have with God, and it's important to me and my family, and sharing that with everybody, because that's what the gospel calls us to do, to go out into the world and share the gospel and the peace that only God gives us through his salvation. And so that's my calling. That's what our calling is as Christians. And so for me, that's an easy thing to do. It gives me joy to be able to wear a t-shirt or have the opportunity to proclaim it anywhere.
Bure put her career on hold to be a stay-at-home mom while her 3 children were younger. Now at age 40, she believes she's reaping the fruit of that decision.
I feel like there's definitely a blessing in that obedience of feeling my calling to be a stay-at-home mom, and because to see what I'm doing now, it overwhelms me.
For the Brody File, I'm Jennifer Wishon.
All right, thanks, Jenny. Well, look, we can't talk politics in Hollywood without a dose of Amber C. Strong. Here she is with this week's Pop Political.
Hello! That was my Mrs. Doubtfire hello. Hello, Pop Political people. I missed you so much. Did you miss me? I can tell you one relationship where there is no love lost, and that is between Amal Clooney and Donald Trump. The famous humanitarian had some choice words for the presidential frontrunner. Clooney, who is a human rights lawyer, took issue at what she believes are Trump's views against Muslims and women. Clooney told the BBC, quote, "I think ultimately we are dealing with a primary season and not the full election. And so, if at the end of it all, he gets beaten by the person who becomes the first female president of the United States, I think that would send a very positive message from the electorate back to him." In other Hollywood/pop culture news, actress Rosario Dawson says she was grateful following her arrest here in D.C. The Daredevil actress was arrested while attempting to stage a sit-in at the U.S. Capitol. Dawson was protesting on behalf of the anti-big money movement, Democracy Spring. The group fights against big money in politics and fights for equality in voting. The arrest was uneventful. She was ticketed, released, and told to return in 15 days. And finally, we're going to end things on a high note. A musical high note, that is.
Jesus did it for me.
That, ladies and gentlemen, was a musical snack from the newest gospel sensation group, Grace. Grace was launched by Bishop T.D. Jakes and have just released their new single titled Jesus Did It. Yes, he did. I sat down with the all-female multicultural quintet and asked them, what does grace mean to you?
Grace for me means it doesn't matter what I've done. You know, we all have a past, and sometimes you can feel like your past is so dirty, but grace to me means it doesn't matter how low I go. Like, his love can always come and pick me up. Like, I can go so deep, but I'm never unreachable to him. So I operate in grace on a daily basis.
So we are popping that question back at you. What does grace mean to you? Tweet me your answers at Amber C. Strong and at The Brody File on Twitter. That's it for this week's Poppolitical. I'm Amber C. Strong. Back to you.
Amber C. Strong and doing that Poppolitical thing. She does that. She hosts the show. Come on, stop. Multi-talented. All right. By the way, no extra money. When we come back, Pastor Greg Young down in Texas. Who is he? You're going to meet him. We traveled down there to the Lone Star State. He's talking politics and spiritual revival. Back in a moment. And welcome back, everybody, to the Brody File. I'm a bit disheveled. It's because all of the tension has now been released because Donald Trump is the presumptive nominee, and I can relax because I can, see my family and all that good stuff. Pastor Greg Young, boy, what a story, down in Kerrville, Texas. He is the host of the Chosen Generation radio show that is all over the country, and now he's really talking about not just politics, but the spiritual revival. In essence, it's Jesus plus politics. It's quite a story. You know, he was actually, it had to be over 10 years ago, he was given a death sentence. He was expected to die, fatal disease. We're going to have more on that on the 700 Club. But here he is, alive today, preaching the good news of Jesus and also the good news of politics. On the Chosen Generation show, we had a chance to talk to him, and here's a little bit of what he had to say.
I think that our nation right now is crying out for truth. We have watched this country for the last 50 to 60 years be fed lie after lie after lie. We've changed the very foundation. You know, I was with David Barton last week, and we went through the Capitol and looked at the number of signers of the Declaration of Independence that were seminary trained. We looked at the things that they used to establish the very foundation and the creation of the United States of America. And I had Phil Graham on the program just a few weeks ago, and it was funny, as we were doing the warm-up, I said to him, you know, I have this hypothesis that it was the Vietnam War and the 1960s where our nation really began to shift, in that patriots went to fight communism, while liberals and leftists and progressives took over our seminaries and took over our places of higher education. And he said, you know, it's interesting, Pastor Greg, I'm getting ready to write a white paper about that very topic. And the fact that when you look at biblical translations that popped up in the 70s, most of those came after our seminaries had been liberalized. So to your point, I believe that having a true biblical worldview as we see this is important. And the other thing is from an overlay perspective, I think it's the only way to understand what's really happening. When we recognize that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers, and that there is a darkness and there is an evil that is working against our country today and against our world today, but then we have the hope of knowing that God has already sent the answer and the overcomer and the victor.
Pastor Greg Young, our good friend down there in Kerrville, Texas. More on the 700 Club from him here in a few weeks. All right, when we come back, the North Carolina transgender issue. Boy, oh boy, forget just North Carolina. It is exploding all over the country. What in the world is going on with the bathroom ordinances? We talk to an LGBT activist when we come back. And welcome back, everybody, to the Brody File. Glad you're with us. A little disheveled because I just need to relax after all of the decompression moments that I've had since Trump is pretty much now the presumptive nominee. So I feel like I have to just kind of chill out a little bit. All right, Target. Transgender bathroom laws. They got in a whole boatload of trouble because they say, hey, transgenders, come on in to the bathroom stalls. Woman, man, whatever you want to be, and whatever bathroom you want to choose, that's fine. Well, conservative Christians and many others said, not so fast. There's a Target petition, a boycott Target petition out there, over 1 million signatures and going strong. So, what is going on with what is happening in this country overall, but specifically as it relates to the transgender bathroom issue? Well, we talked to Lane Hudson right here on the Brody File. He is an LGBT activist. He's been around for quite some time, and he actually brings the, as you might imagine, the progressive liberal point of view here to the show. Hey, we will welcome both sides. We have no problem with frank discussion, and here is some of that discussion. Let me ask you about Georgia real quick. What do you make what's going on there with Nathan Deal? He took a lot of criticism from evangelicals, and I'm curious to get your opinion about what he did down there in terms of the veto of that bill, the transgender bill.
Well, I think what you saw Governor Deal do is when you take the oath of office, you're taking the oath of office to administer a government of the people, for the people, and by the people. And that means everyone. And so when you start hearing from the business community that what actions you're taking are going to harm the business environment, which provides jobs for people, it provides economic security for families, it provides tax revenue for the government to administer the services it needs to its citizens, then you really have to start thinking, am I really doing the right thing? You've got to balance all the costs of these things. And what he decided was the right thing to do is that it was going to hamper the business environment in the state of Georgia, and he vetoed the bill.
Let me ask you about some evangelicals. I want to have your message to the evangelicals who are concerned about these transgender bathroom bills that we see pop up. They're important for equal protection under the law as it relates to the LGBT community, but evangelicals see it differently. They see that this could lead to dangerous situations in bathrooms, or at least it muddies the waters, and that puts them ill at ease. What do you say to folks that might have some concerns about this?
Well, you know, transgender people didn't just now start using the restroom. So I don't understand why just now this has become such an issue that people feel like it really has to be addressed. Because particularly if you look in other parts of the world, let's look at Europe. They have gender neutral bathrooms everywhere. And the privacy exists in the bathroom stall. And I don't know kind of what the history is here, but and how bathrooms are constructed. But if people are really concerned about privacy in a restroom, there are different ways of going about it than telling someone that they are or are not allowed to use a certain restroom. And you know, I don't know if some of these folks really understand what it means to be transgender, but you know, and I don't, but I do have friends who are, and I've really taken some time and effort to understand what it means to be transgender. And they really do feel like they were living in the wrong body. And that they, you know, transition to the gender that they believe is their true gender that they were born with. And they're really just trying to live their true self. They're not trying to push an agenda. They're not trying to make anyone else uncomfortable. They're actually trying to feel comfortable with who they are and live their life just like anyone else would.
What if it's not really about folks that are transgender, but maybe some folks that are going to want to take advantage of these laws, folks that aren't transgender, but say, you know what, today I'm feeling more like a woman, or I'm feeling more like a man. We've seen examples of this in Washington State. There have been some folks, some parents that have called in and have been concerned about folks that say, well, under the law, I can be here in this bathroom. It's not a transgender person, it's just someone who's a bit wacky. There's some concerns about that too.
Well, I think that those people are probably the same kinds of folks who should be arrested and either seek mental health treatment or be arrested for trying to take advantage of people in that situation. I hate these kinds of questions because they're kind of anecdotal and they're almost like one-offs. When what the real issue here is like what's the dignity that people should be afforded. And we're talking about folks who are trying to live lives, contribute to society, contribute to the economy, and everybody has to use the bathroom, and that's what we're trying to get across here.
Lane Hudson here on the Brody File. Back in a moment with some closing comments. And welcome back, everybody, to the Brody File. All right, look, before we leave you, some quick final thoughts. Donald Trump is clearly now going to be the Republican nominee for president. I know, smelling salts moment for the GOP establishment. Deal with it. Pick yourself up off the floor. Where do we go from here? He's going to have to choose a vice president. Sources telling me could be Newt Gingrich. I know. Get your mind around that for a moment. By the way, that's 6 marriages between the two of them. Divide by 2, that's an average of 3 marriages for that ticket. Mike Huckabee as well, a potential on that list. And so we'll see. Be great if he could pick a woman. Yeah, good luck with that. Nikki Haley maybe, but she said some not nice things about Donald Trump along with many other Republican women. So we'll see. Look out for Marsha Blackburn in Congress from Tennessee, a potential dark horse. All right, that does it for us, everybody. Until next week, God bless. Have a great week.